Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and I'm an attorney that assists dental associates with employment contract and independent contractor agreement issues. Today I'm going to talk about dental malpractice insurance review, meaning if I'm reviewing a contract with a dental associate, what are some of the key areas that we talk about when it comes to malpractice insurance for a dentist. So I think the most helpful thing at first is to identify the two common types of insurance for a dental associate. Those would be occurrence and claims made based insurance, and I'll kind of walk through the difference between both of those. So first, an occurrence policy simply means a policy has to be in effect when the incident occurs, and so no additional insurance is necessary after the employment relationship ends. Now, an occurrence-based policy is generally about a third more expensive per year than a claims-made policy, which I'll explain in a second. I would generally find that an occurrence-based policy makes the most sense for a dental associate, especially if you're doing a lot of per diem work, where you're only filling in, getting a daily rate, maybe you're working in multiple practices. Most insurance companies will provide an occurrence-based policy where you can add each different employer onto it, and therefore you don't have to purchase tail insurance at the end of that. Now, the next policy is a claims-made policy. So a claims-made policy simply means a policy has to be in effect when the claim is actually made, so when you are sued. So it's possible that you would leave an employer, your claims-made policy ends, and then there's going to be a gap in between when you leave and then the last day somebody can sue you. In most states, it's 2 years. It can be different. But we'll just take 2 years as the example. So you would then need a second policy that covers that gap in between when you leave and then the last day somebody can sue you, and that's called tail insurance. A good rule of thumb is tail costs generally about twice what your annual premium is. So for a dentist, $3,000 to $3,500 it would be a kind of standard amount for a general dentist, and so you would just double that. So somewhere between $6,000 to $7,000 would be your tail cost. It's a one-time payment. You do not pay it every year, but it is something that you can negotiate in your contract, which I would, advise you to do. It's, not prohibitively expensive, but still is a cost that you would prefer the employer to pick up. And so let's kind of talk about strategies involved when I'm reviewing someone's contract and like, okay, I don't want to pay for tail. What are some things I can do? So the first thing you can do is tie the length of your tenure with the employer to the percentage that the employer kicks into tail insurance. So if originally they said, no, we're not paying anything for tail, you could say, all right, if I leave in the first year, I'll pay 100% of the tail. If I leave in the second year, I'll pay 75%. If I leave in the third year, I'll pay 50%, and so on. So it incentivizes, at least from the employer's perspective, it incentivizes the dental associate to stay, because the longer they stay, the less they have to pay for tail. And then obviously over the course of 4 or 5 years, the practice is made up, any of the money they're gonna have to pay for in tail versus the collections from the dental associate many times over. So that's usually the best way of negotiating that. Now, you can get some practices to pay for your old tail if you're leaving. That's called nose coverage. This is generally not something that the dental industry does. Some, like a physician, I don't know about common practice, but it certainly does happen. Whereas I see it very rarely for a dental associate to have their old tail picked up by the new employer. So those are just a few things that I review about a malpractice insurance for a dental associate. If you have any questions about your employment agreement or independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm. All of our information is listed below in the description. And I appreciate you watching the video. All right, thanks. Take care.